Hi, this is State Representative Donna McLeod. I am also a candidate for Congress in the 7th Congressional District, and I'm the founder of CANI, Community Action Network Initiatives. We're a civic organization that is dedicated to making sure that people exercise their civic responsibilities. We also do life coaching skills. Hopefully, at the end of this recording, you will have all the answers you need to the questions you might be having. If not, you can definitely email me at canipartner @gmail.com. That's canipartner@gmail.com. We are going to talk about the law that was passed last year, SB202, that brought some significant changes to how we will vote this primary season. So I'm going to share my screen and our power presentation. So hold on right now until I share my screen. So let's go back to the first. Of course, we are CANI, Community Action Network Initiatives, and we want to make sure you are making a plan to vote. So the first thing we want you to do this election season is to always check your voter registration status. They have purged several thousand of people off the voter rolls, so you can go to mvp.sos.ga.gov or to vote.org. If you are still registered, please make sure all your information is accurate. I actually had a call from someone who said when the system went down and came back up, and if you guys go to the MVP site, and if you've ever been there before, you'll see that it has changed. So this person said when they went to look up their voting information, she was Black when the system prior, and when she looked at the new system, she was white. So please, please, please check for accuracy, because if you go in with your driver's license, you vote in person, and you show up with a driver's license and your face is Black and the system says you're white, you might have a problem. So I'm just making sure that people understand just how important it is to check the accuracy. If you are registered, then you need, if you're not registered, then you need to get registered. You can go to mvp.sos.ga.gov again and look for the get registered symbol, or you can go to vote.org and look for and basically click on the icon that says get registered to vote. But make sure that you are registered to vote, and the deadline to register to vote will be April 25th for the primary, for this primary. Once this primary is over, a new voter registration deadline will be opened up for the general or the runoffs. So again, please, please check your voter registration for accuracy. Second, if you're voting absentee by mail, I want to just make sure everybody understand that in the state of Georgia, we do not vote by mail. We actually have an absentee voting process. So it requires an application. So you can actually pick up that application at your Board of Elections. But if you are going to do it online, you will need a printer, because you will have to print the application off the website, and it will require that you have a signature, a handwritten signature with a pen. You can request your ballot by filling out the application. I will show you what the application is at the end of this presentation, but right now I'm going to give you the details that will be on the application. So you will fill out the application. You will ensure that each section is complete and it's accurate. It's important information that are required is your driver's license or an ID number on the application. In addition to your name, your address, your birth date. Key to remember that the primary is that voters, the key to this is that you must remember that voters must choose a Democratic, a Republican, or nonpartisan ballot. It is important for people to know that nonpartisan ballot doesn't mean that you got all the Democrats and the Republicans together. That's not what it means. It means that it is a ballot that only contains the judicial races, and in the case of Gwinnett County, it now will include the school board races. So those are ones that are considered nonpartisan. If you pull a Democratic or a Republican ballot, you will find that all the races are on those ballots. This is a primary, so in the state of Georgia, we do not register people to vote by party, so you have to pull a ballot during a primary in order to be recognized as a voter who prefers one party over the other. Once you pull a Democratic ballot or a Republican ballot, the nonpartisan races will also be a part of that ballot. So those ballots will have all of the candidates. The nonpartisan ballot will not. No one can help a voter apply for a ballot except for a close relative or someone assisting a disabled person. The name of the person assisting must be written on the form. So you need to establish that. Next slide. Once they print and sign the application, a voter can return it by hand or by mail or scan it to submit it. So if you have the fax machine, and you know the number for your board of elections, you can actually scan it to them. In fact, some of them do have email addresses as well, so you can actually take a picture, and I think that would be acceptable too. But right now it is stating just to scan it and fax it over. Each election will require its own request for a ballot, so you can't just do a blanket request and expect that you're going to get a ballot for every election. So you will have to request each one. The key to remember is that the voter must reapply for each election unless they are 65 years of age and older or disabled. The main tip is to remind voters that there is no permanent absentee request list. They have to request a ballot prior to each election unless they are elderly or disabled. Those persons that are 65 years of age and older or disabled must file a request at the beginning of each election cycle, starting stating that they want the ballot for the rest of the year. So this has to be done upfront by anyone who's 65 years of age or disabled. Ballots will start mailing out on April 25th. So again, and we know what April 25th is the deadline to register to vote for this election. Mass ballot application mail out is now prohibited by the state law. So again, no one can just mass send out applications anymore. That was done in the 2018 election. They have put a stop to that. The deadline for all absentee ballot by mail will be on 7 p.m. on election day, including by mail. So if your ballot doesn't get to your election office by 7 p.m. on election day, your ballot will not be counted. Postmarks will not be accepted. So it will be considered late and will not be counted. So please, if you're voting by absentee voting, please make sure you get the application early. Make sure you fill it out, return it so you can get your ballot in time. And again, if you have the ballot in your hand and you fill it out and you can't put it in the mail because it will be too late, I would make sure you walk it down to your Board of Elections office and drop it off there, or go to a drop box location. And we will talk about that a little bit later. Next slide, voting in person. Voting in person can be done early or on election day. Early voting starts on May 2nd and ends on May 20th. Know where you go to vote for your early voting locations. I do have a list below, and I will show you as we go down these slides. You do have to have required identification, and so we're going to go over what those identifications that you need, what types you will need, and one of them have to be an acceptable ID on this list. So any valid state or federal government issued photo ID, including free ID cards issued by your county registrar's office or the Georgia Department of Driver Services. So your county registrars can issue one, or the Department of Driver Services. A Georgia state driver's license, even if it's expired, you can use that. Student ID from Georgia public colleges or universities. Valid employee photo ID from any branch of the department, agency, or entity of the U.S. government, Georgia, or any county, municipal, board, authority, or any other entity in this state. valid U.S. Passport ID, valid U.S. military photo ID containing a photograph of the voter, a valid tribal photo ID containing a photograph of the voter. Election day is May 24th. Vote in your precinct polling location, not at the early voting sites. You can obtain this by going to the mvp.sos.ga.gov. You will find your precinct information on that site, or go to vote.org. Either one will take you to the Secretary of State website for the state of Georgia. This can be found, of course, on those two sites. Also, please, please, please make sure you understand the difference between early voting and election day voting. Election day voting, you can only vote in your own precinct. You cannot go to one of the early voting sites. They will be closed unless one of the early voting sites is your precinct, but very few times they're one and the same, but some of them are, but very few. So please, please take note of that. Vote on election day. You have to vote at your precinct. Please, please let everyone you know that. We've had so many people show up at these early voting sites on election day, and then they can't vote, or they get there so late and they cannot vote. Gwinnett County early voting locations. We have the Board of Elections, which is on Grayson Highway in Lawrenceville. We have Bogdan Park. We have the Cula Park Activity Building. We have George Pierce Park and Community Recreation Center. We have Lenora Park Gym. We have Lucky Shoals Park Community Recreation Center. We have Mountain Park Activity Building. We have Pinckneyville Park Community Recreation Center, and that's in Berkeley Lake. We also have Rhodes Jordan Park. And I know for sure Rhodes Jordan is one of those that will also be a election day site as well as an early voting site. And then Shorty Howell Park Activity Building. Those are the ones that are in Gwinnett County. And they're open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. The ones that do have drop boxes have the yes beside them. So it'll be the Grayson, the Board of Elections, the Board of Election and Registration, that will have a drop box. The Cula Park Activity will also have one. We'll also have one at George Pierce Park. There will be one at Lenora Park. There will be one at Lucky Shoals. And then the last one will be at Pinckneyville Park Community Recreation Center. So those are the locations with drop-off boxes. Every early voting location will not have a drop-off box. Did you know you cannot provide food, drink, or water to voters in line? That was one of the issues that was people have been very hyped up about in SB202. I know that the solicitor in Gwinnett County has been trying to not let that be enforced. But again, just be reminded of that. It is now criminalized to give food, drink, or water to people in line. Any citizen or voter can challenge your vote. I have asked the Gwinnett Board of Elections what they plan to do. They said they've established some procedures for different types of challenges, and they have already had one special meeting to review them, and will likely have at least one meeting a week between now and the election. Currently, they have about 200 challenges before them. This is being pushed by the conspiracy people who think they are stopping illegal voting, when in fact 95% of the people being challenged are long gone from Gwinnett County and will not be voting illegally. But you know, this is an issue, because that's probably the most dangerous part of the law, in parts of the SB202, is this provision where people can challenge any person's vote at any given time and hold up the process. Gwinnett County also will be prepaying the postage for the application for absentee by mail voting. So Gwinnett County will be paying prepaid postage for application, and they will also be paying prepaid postage for your return ballot. So that's very important. Not every county is doing this, but Gwinnett is. The other part of the law that I think that we haven't seen yet is the fact that the secretary, the Georgia Election Board can come into any county and basically take over that county and remove the sitting members of the County Board of Elections. And that is probably the most dangerous part of this law. We'll see how this goes. I know that there's been challenges already in Fulton County with this, so we'll see. That's why it's so important to overwhelm the polls in this election cycle. People are counting on us not showing up in midterm election, but we've got to prove them wrong. And so I'm asking everybody to do their part to make a plan to vote. So very important. Tell your family, tell your friends, make a plan to vote. I coined this statement a long time ago, years ago. It says, knowledge is the most powerful gift you give to yourself, and the vote is the most powerful gift we give to each other. Because those of you that know, this is all about us as members of this society, citizens of this society. This republic requires us to participate. And in fact, by our vote, we actually determine whose voice will be at the table and whose voice will be represented. And at the very core of our society is the taxes that are being paid by each one of us. In the state of Georgia, we have a $30 billion budget. 76% of that budget comes directly from income tax and sales tax. Another 12% from fees. So if you on your bills, if you've been pulled over by the police and you pay fees, utility bills, fees, those are all used as part of making the foundation of our government. And our government is about how we actually spend your money on your behalf. So I want people just to keep that in mind. When people tell me they're not in politics, they don't understand that politics is about electing someone who's going to be your voice to ensure that you get a fair shot with your money being used on your behalf and you get a return on your investment. The last 12% of that $30 billion budget comes from businesses who paid roughly 12% to equal 100% of our budget. So as you can see, the taxpayer has the largest burden of making sure that our government works for each one of us. So please, please remember that. That concludes our presentation. You can visit caniinc.org and you can go ahead and share this with everyone and let them know how important it is to make a plan to vote. Is so very, very important. So I ask you all to make sure that you share this information, and I hope that you found this information worthy. Thank you guys, and hope to see you guys in person soon, and I hope this presentation helps a lot.